Okay, it is 7 o'clock. I call this meeting to order. This is the budget hearing for the town of Temple. So what happens here is I'm going to read up. You can see the budget up here. I will hit the highlights. I will take any questions people might have, and we'll go from there. And then we'll review some of the warrant articles. Now, which mouse is the right mouse? That's right. No, it's not you.
For change.
Okay, so the executive board, you can see what this is. This is basically the select board. Last year we budgeted 16,345. We spent 13,065. This year we're budgeting 14,264, a decrease of 12.7%. Town administration, this is basically, bookkeeping, and our admins, webmaster, random stuff like that to run the office. By the way, if this isn't online yet on the web page, it will be. Okay. So last year we budgeted 64,952. We spent 61,187. This year we're budgeting 66,782, an increase of 2.8%. Now you will see in just about every category where we're paying somebody a 3% change in wages. That's our cost of living increase. It applied to everybody basically everybody that gets paid by the town, that works for the town. The moderator budgeted 4,011 last year, spent 4,315 this year, 4,375. That's a 9.1% increase of basically no money. So it's fairly insignificant. Town clerk, which covers the town clerk's salaries and dues and subscriptions, office supplies, postage, the whole bit. Last year we budgeted 32,297. This year, and we expended 27,823. This year we're budgeting 34,027, a 5.4% increase. Where you do see increases other than the salary increase, they're mostly around insurance or electricity costs, that sort of thing. Voter registration. Last year we budgeted 2,452. We spent 2,474. This year we're budgeting 1,277, a decrease of 47.9%. The reason being we only have one election this year. Election administration, which are all the election workers, pretty much. Last year we budgeted 6466. We spent 6183. This year we're budgeting 1752, a decrease of 72.9%. Same reason. Vital statistics. Last year we budgeted 400, spent 351. We're budgeting 400 again. No change. I'll also remark that some of these figures that we budget for, we basically pull out of thin air because we can't predict, for example, how many welfare claims we're going to get. So we pick a number we think is reasonable. And frequently we get money back. We don't spend it all. So financial administration, that's basically treasurer. We budgeted 5673. We spent 5585. This year, we're budgeting 5924, an increase of 4.4%. And a good chunk of that's postage because postage rates have gone up significantly. Anybody has a question, feel free to interrupt. Data processing and information systems. That is basically all the computers in the office and software support, et cetera. Last year, we budgeted 7228. We spent 6710. This year, we're budgeting 23,763, an increase of 228%. The reason is we've had to switch over the town clerk software to a new system. The provider that was providing what we have been using for many, many years is basically going down the drain. They were bought by a Texas company. Support has gotten terrible and it's really dated. On the plus side, the new system will let you do a lot of stuff online now. You can register your cars, you can make payments, all this kind of stuff online. Big step forward. Plus it integrates in with everything else in the office instead of not. Yeah, and the credit. Budget Advisory Committee. We budgeted 200. They spent 115. We're budgeting 200 again. Yep. Oh yeah, but hold on. Let me get a microphone for you. We didn't get any out.
Bill, just a quick question. Obviously, there's a big jump. Is that what we can expect every year moving forward at that number? Or is that a one-time increase?
The data processing stuff,
Correct.
one
Correct.
time. Well, it was to convert so what has to happen is it has to integrate in with the state. There's a big conversion process to get the state, our stuff switched over to use the new software using the state software that matches. So it's a one-time.
So next year that should drop back down again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
we do pay, even for the old software, we pay a yearly maintenance fee. We'll be doing that too. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, I went through budget advisory already, tax collector. We budgeted 30,417. We spent 34,377. So we're split the difference in budgeting 32,775 this year, 7.8% increase. Part of that is because we guess how much money we're going to need for tax abatements. Well, we didn't guess high enough. There was one last year that was, we had to make a correction because of a miscalculation on some property. So that's where that money went. Assessing and auditing, that's our town auditors and our town assessors. We actually, our contract with Avatar was up at the end of the year of last year. We put out to bid just to make sure we were doing everything right. We got 0 responses from any other company. We were warned that would be the case. None of them want to take on anybody new. Don't have enough personnel. So we're staying with Avatar. So last year we budgeted $44,580. We spent $57,193. This year we're budgeting $25,168, a decrease of 43.5%.
Just to clarify, though, the last year was the update year.
Yes, I'm going to say that.
And I'm sure that Temple, like Sharon, there was an increase because they give us the 5-year contract, and the update, there was an increase in that.
Yes,
And that's why it's over.
right.
Okay.
And yes, so as was just mentioned, every 5 years we have a big hit because we are required to do a full town revaluation. Okay. Legal expenses. We budgeted 28,500 last year. We spent 25,338. This year we're budgeting 22,500, a decrease of 21.1%. The rationale being our main case, which was the Marsh issue, has been decided by the Supreme Court in the town's favor. There'll still be some legal fees, but we, in theory, will be getting a significant chunk of money back from them because they have to cover all the town legal fees. Our collection is the problem. So we'll see what happens with that. Personnel administration. This is health insurance for the town employees and miscellaneous stuff like that, unemployment comp. As you can see, health insurance is the biggie on this. It's really expensive. So last year we budgeted 93,676. We spent 78,195. This year we're budgeting 87,250. 6.9% decrease, but the rates actually went up a little bit. It's just that we were missing, we're down a couple of employees last year, so that did not contribute. However, this figure that is here, 87,250, is the real, that's what we know we'll pay. It's a fixed expense. Where'd the microphone go? Here.
Just out of curiosity, the school district was hit with a 14% increase in health insurance premiums. What did ours come up?
I don't remember, but it wasn't that big, I don't think. I'm sure it wasn't that big. Yeah. So I don't know why they got hit so badly. We use school care, which almost every town in the state uses. And I would assume the school district does too, but maybe not. Maybe they have a different carrier. Okay.
Can I make a comment on that? Can I make a comment on
Sure,
that?
go ahead.
So on, having been involved with it, it's, based on a lot of it's based on your experience rating.
True.
So the school district may have had some very large charges, claims on theirs where Temple probably didn't.
Yeah, good point. Yep. Okay, planning board. We budgeted 4873 last year, and we spent 4653. This year, budgeting 6,974, an increase of 43%. These figures come from the planning board, and I am not sure why they had such a big increase. Professional services is, okay, I see it. Never mind, I should read what's in front of me. It's the tax map updates, which we do for $2,000 every 2 years. Zoning board, we budgeted 752, spent 782, budgeted 707, a 6% decrease. And government buildings and land, this covers a whole bunch of stuff. As you can see from the list, it covers electricity, propane, heating oil, maintenance and repairs on the municipal building and the town hall, and on and on and on and on. I'm not going to read all these. There's a bunch of them. So last year we budgeted 54,365. We spent 64,784. This year we are budgeting 41,431, a decrease of 23.8%. The reason being we had some out of the ordinary expenses last year, having to redo siding and such on this town hall, and a few other random things. Okay, cemetery, budgeted 9,384, spent 5,421, budgeting 8192, a decrease of 12.7%. Insurance, this is our property and liability insurance, not medical. We budgeted 25,027. We spent 25,027. This year we're budgeting 27,501, an increase of 9.9%, and that is strictly from the cost of the insurance increasing. We do insure through Primex, which many, many towns do. They're usually got pretty good rates. Dues and association costs. This is primarily the two big organizations the town participates with and really uses a lot. The Municipal Association, New Hampshire Municipal Association, and the Southwest Regional Planning Commission. We budgeted 2783 last year. We spent 2783. This year we're budgeting 2783. These are again fixed cost and they did not increase. Other general government. This is kind of a catch-all for all the various boards and committees and such that aren't covered by their own separate budgets. Last year, we budgeted 9835. We spent 6639. This year, we're budgeting 10,241, an increase of 4.1%. There was like an increase in the holiday lighting, as you can see, and some minor increases in a few other things. Police department. And let me confirm we have the correct police department figures now, okay? Because it was changing as of just a few days ago. Police department, we budgeted 301,163. We spent 301,161. I'm not sure where the $2 went. This year we're budgeting 339,544, an increase of 12.7%. This is because they have hired another officer and there's some training expenses involved in that. Now, again, this is a joint police department, so this has to get approved by Temple and Greenville. So this would be our share of the total.
And to clarify, this also does not include the surplus from the
Correct.
prior year. So while we budgeted and paid the 301,163, because we didn't have full staffing, we didn't use all that money. So there was a share that comes back to Temple, and that will be reflected in the finals, not on this sheet, but
Right.
down the road.
Right,
Yeah, but this year it's going to be very minimal.
right. And we always apply any surplus to what we have to pay for it. Peterborough ambulance. We budgeted 103,275 last year. We spent 103,275. This year, we're budgeting 93,051, a decrease of 9.9%. This is fixed amount of money from them. Apparently, fewer people died or needed to go to the hospital or something. So
It's based on
keep it up.
call volume and
Yep.
calls to the town. So there was last year, we did have quite a few more the prior year.
Yep,
So this year, there wasn't quite as much, but we're still up on calls overall. So we're going to be in the same ballpark next year.
fire department. Last year, we budgeted 79,738. We spent 77,922. This year, we're budgeting 80,449, an increase of 0.9%. They need a few things, had to pay out for a few repairs that weren't expected. We're just budgeting slightly more this year, to rounding things up to
We actually
Take
did
care
use
of it.
11,000 out of the budget
Yep.
for a
The new-
repair that we had.
repair. Yeah.
Bill, can I go back and ask a question on the police department?
Yes.
You said that both towns had to pass it. So is there a default, is it like the school where there's a default budget if it doesn't pass?
Either
What-
town doesn't pass it, we have no police department.
Oh, brilliant.
Hasn't happened yet, no.
And we've agreed to a 3-year extension on the contract, so.
Right. Now, it is possible that, one or the other party might amend this at town meeting, in which case, and that would be reflected too. We pay a fixed percentage of the total budget. So if they reduce it, fine. If we reduce it. But then, of course, I'm not sure what happens if we do that, because the towns really have to agree on all of this, and it's all decided at town meeting. So we've never had the problem. Hope we
would end
don't.
up with a special town.
Yeah,
meeting
special
to
town
figure
meeting,
that one out.
probably, yeah. Okay, building inspection, we budgeted 1,077, we spent 915. We budgeted 1,077. Again, this is one of these things that we can't really predict with certainty. Depends how many building permits come in, how many inspections have to get done. Emergency management. This includes our emergency services director and our forest fire warden. We budgeted 1,947. We spent 755. We're budgeting 1,947 again. Another one of these things that is somewhat unpredictable. Town vehicle, town gasoline and diesel. This is for the highway department. We budgeted 32,000. We spent 28,395. We're budgeting 30,000 again. It says a decrease of 6.3%, but that's, 32,000 we budgeted last year. So we're budgeting 30,000 this year, a decrease of 6.3%. Price of fuel's gone down.
We also use the diesel for the fire trucks as
Yep.
well.
Highway department. Pretty self-explanatory. A lot of items. We budgeted $352,694. We spent $324,347. We're budgeting $359,814, a 2% increase. By the way, you notice training and seminars went down 100%. That was a one-time for our new highway department employee, for him to go for his mandatory training.
I have a question on the training.
Yep.
Because there are trainings available for highway department members. How come they're not going to any of them?
They got rid of those. I mean, the official certification one, you now have to pay for. The town has to pay for.
So they don't get to go to any trainings?
Well, they can go to any free training they want, but they have to go to the mandatory one. And that's what the state's now charging us for. It's to get his CDL.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Sanitation, that's the Wilton Recycling Center. We budgeted 80,281. We spent 80,280. We're budgeting 73,588, a decrease of 8.3%. That's the figure we get from the recycling center. It's based on town populations and their expenses.
We're also hoping that next year we have some competition.
Yeah, Greenville's got their recycling center open, and we're going to look into that. So, not as convenient for some people, but more convenient for others. Animal and pest control, we budgeted 10,007. We spent 8,521. We're budgeting 10,007 again. Again, this is something that depends on how many critters have to get controlled. Welfare services and support agencies, we budgeted 9,234. We spent 9,233, amazingly. Budgeting 9,234 again. Again, a warning, we could have some big surge in people that need welfare, and we have to cover it by law. So,
That's the next section, Dan.
oh, you're right. Welfare. We budgeted 15,009. We spent 5,957. We budgeting 16,554, an increase of 10.3% because we figured we might need a little more. My eyes are wearing out here.
Yeah, the
trying to
one
read this
before
stuff.
was all the places or charities that we donate
Charitable
to.
organizations. Yep, I should have said that. We did have a few that did not call us and tell us they wanted money this year. So the ones that you see here are the ones that actually wanted money. Now, of course, some do want money, but it's too late.
It's actually not, these are not the right numbers.
Okay.
These are all the same people, and some of these people did not give us requests.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to end up dropping some of these figures. Yep. A lot of them wait to the last minute, and we're kind of tired
I
of,
usually had chase after them. I didn't have time to chase people.
Yeah.
I figured I shouldn't have to chase people. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, I totally agree. You know, if they want the money, fine, ask for it. It's not our job to tell them to ask for it.
So at some point, we should make a policy on this so that we can, if they don't ask, it gets dropped.
Yeah. Okay, where were we? Recreation. Budgeted 2,000, spent 1,386, budgeting 2,700 this year. Increase of 35%. This is possibly for some grounds maintenance. It's a little bit tentative. We may or may not end up spending this.
No, that's not what this is for. There's a warrant article for ground maintenance.
Oh, yeah. So what is it for then?
Yeah, this is related to a warrant article around the tennis court and basketball court repair. I believe that part of our request to have maintenance to maintain those after they've been.
Okay, so
repaired.
it is maintenance, but only if that warrant article passes.
Well, no, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, again, it is, okay, yeah, right, because we wouldn't be maintaining something that's in bad shape. So that's my understanding. Is that everybody else from the CIP? That's, okay.
Okay, that makes sense. So there is a warrant article. I'll talk about the appropriation warrant articles when we get to them, to do a lot of work down on the tennis courts. Library. We budgeted 77,542. We spent 74,813. This year, we have budgeted 79,479, an increase of 2.5%. There will also be a warrant article related to replacing the furnace and the heating and cooling system in the library. I'll talk about that when we get to it. Patriotic purposes, we budgeted 601, we spent 561, we're budgeting 601 again. Those are pretty much what we do every year. Conservation Commission, we budgeted 3,351, we spent 2,736. We are budgeting 3,902 this year, an increase of 16.4%. Professional services increased significantly, 50%. And we got these figures from the Concom. Any Concom want to comment? I don't see any. Oh, that's what I was wondering. I'm wondering what
So in the notes, it says there's two things. It's the cost of the mowing for some
Okay.
of the areas to maintain those. And the second charge that is the bigger increase is that they are requesting money to have this iNaturalist training. It's like an online directory of all of the ecological assets of the town. My understanding, it was a one-time
yeah,
expense.
it's a training thing.
Yeah, so it's the training, not the cost of the service.
However, you know, a lot of these things that look like big increases are really not a lot of money. Uncategorized expenses, that's just a placeholder for fiddling with the, when accounts get screwed up a bit. So nothing really there. So the total operating expenses for the town last year, we budgeted $1,514,135. We spent $1,453,307. This year, we are budgeting $1,520,233, a net increase of 0.4%, which I think is not bad. And we budget semi-conservatively, so we probably will not spend all this money. Any money that doesn't get spent goes back into the general fund. And we typically use at least some of it for reducing the taxes people pay. Okay, debt services. This is basically all around, as far as I know, the only debt service we're working on right now is the Fidium consolidated stuff. And there's a bit of an accounting game on here. We budgeted 44,533. We spent 44,532. This year we're budgeting 44,444. We don't actually pay any of this. The bond gets paid off by Consolidated. But we have to track it as if it's our expense.
Well, it does get paid off by us, but it's in our $14
Yeah. Well, yeah,
fee for the Fidium bill, on your Fidium bill.
right. Each user, each subscriber pays 14 bucks for it. Okay, total budgeted expenditures. Last year, we budgeted $1,558,668. We expended $1,497,839 for a total budget of $1,564,677, 0.4%. Okay. We have to discuss any appropriation warrant articles. And I've actually got a different list that I'm going to put up. That's, of course, then I won't have the total figures, but hey. All right, I'll go over this list for, oops. Thought I'd go over this list. Okay, I'll go over this list first. So we have our typical ones we do every year, our paving trust, our bridge trust, highway capital trust. Then we have some that are one shots. So on this list, what we have is the paving trust, 145,000 last year, 145,000 budgeted and spent last year, budgeting 100,000 this year. Bridge trust, 125,000 budgeted and spent last year, 125,000 budgeted this year. Note that town meeting last year, it was voted to replace the Powers Road Bridge. It will be replaced this year, and some of this money is for that.
When you say spent, it was appropriated and placed into the trust fund.
Yes, and it is earmarked by the town meeting to be spent. Highway Capital Trust, 45,000, both budgeted and spent last year, only asking 24,000 this year. Now here we have,
That's not correct.
okay, which
so-
one is it?
So the one that is also sort of a carryover is the fifth one down, the police cruiser this past year.
Yep.
This year, that for 2025, we're doing the highway fire department maintenance fund fee.
Yeah, okay.
So line 377, 378, and 380 are completely different this year compared to last.
I think it might be helpful to run down the CIP list, because to be honest with you, there's something missing here.
Okay, I do not have the CIP list on my computer.
Okay.
But you can go through it.
I can give it to you. Again, the 100,000 for paving, that's going to be covering the paving for this coming year.
Yep.
With a little bit left over in that trust fund. There's also going to be, as you mentioned, the $125,000 for the bridge capital fund. It's going to be added to monies that are already there, and it's going to help pay for the Powers Road Bridge, as you explained, with, again, some that's going to carry forward and going to help us with the East Road Bridge in another few years. There's also the $24,000 that we're going to be asking for the repair of the tennis and basketball courts.
Yeah, that's interesting. It says Highway Capital Trust, but then it says tennis courts on it, so.
So, well, again, the CIP list is a little bit different than what you have here. There's a couple of things missing. So there's $24,000 for the tennis and basketball courts. This was a request from the Recreation Committee. There's also a warrant article that's been proposed for $15,800 for the new GIS system
Yeah.
for the.
I'm actually going to
tax
go over the official warrant,
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
It should be on the
Yeah,
warrant.
so it'll be in
Yeah.
there.
All right.
but so these
They-
figures here,
They are all there. If
Yeah.
the red colored items are from the 2024 budget, and I had to leave them because of the account numbers.
Okay.
We do not have account numbers for anything 2025. However, they are pasted in the black. So unfortunately with Excel, it's overwritten. So if you see the whole actual cell, you can see the actual thing. So in order, line 375 on the page here is the paving trust. Line 376 is the bridge trust. 377 is new. It is the tennis basketball court
Okay.
article.
Okay.
378 is the GIS software. 379 is the highway and fire department. That's the new trust fund we created last year, merging the two maintenance funds. So that's putting some money into the maintenance fund. And then the last one is the library furnace replacement. So they're technically all there. Just because of the way Excel works, I had to leave the 24 numbers in there, and we don't have account numbers until after we get through.
All right. So I'm going to go over the official warrant.
And
in
I
a
think an
second.
important point is, well, thanks for clarifying that, Rob. The other point then is that, column D and F really don't bear any relationship
To
to
anything.
column N.
Right.
So,
Okay. Ignoring all that, the total budget, which is the town budget plus all the warrant articles, if they pass, will end up with a town budget this year of $1,812,033, a decrease of 2.4% from last year. Okay, now we got to go over the warrant articles. Where are they? There they are. Okay, where's my?
The library has asked for a energy audit, and it was supposed to come in yesterday or today. I emailed them at 4, and she said that she was unable to get all of the engineering specs that she needed to do the correct cost benefit analysis to complete the report. She has gotten a hold of a couple of contractors and has them saying that they will send her the information because the information isn't available online for several of the pieces of equipment that were quoted to us in order for her to do the right calculations. So we're waiting on that, but the range of furnaces, everything from replacing a propane furnace to replacing a propane furnace and putting in a heat pump add-on, there was a range of quotes from 5 or 6 different local suppliers, and it was anywhere from like 8 to 12,000 up to 24,000. So we put in 17 on here is where we're sitting right now. And we don't have any better information to make any changes to that. So
Right. So what we'll end up doing is amending the warrant article for appropriating that money. We'll amend at town meeting for
Based
the
on- yeah.
correct.
yeah,
correct.
so I'm hoping that I'll have something next week, but
Well, it doesn't make any difference. We'll do it at town meeting, but we need to know by town meeting. Okay. All right. So we only have to really talk about appropriation warrant articles. So I'm not going to go into other than just saying we've got a number of zoning amendments. They will be all by law. The zoning amendments have to be on the ballot. So you vote for those at the ballot booth. Go ahead. Where are we?
All changed, so don't even look at the, yeah. Christine said I could just summarize it and take all that detail out for the warrant. All the detail will be in the town report, but it won't be on here. It's all been removed.
Right.
Because you can't do strikeouts, underlining and bolding in the portal. So it doesn't really make sense to show everything. Because if it says 2, change to 4, you don't see the cross out. It looks like 2-4.
Yeah.
So-
So what gets sent to the state is the readable version. And the town report will have the readable version. Okay, we've got a bunch of zoning amendments. The operating budget we already talked about. So Article 10 will be to raise money for the asphalt and paving expendable trust. That was $100,000 as discussed. 11 is the Bridge Capital Reserve Fund, 125,000, as was discussed. 12 is the Highway and Fire Vehicle Equipment Maintenance Repair Expendable Trust. That's $10,000. Here's the library HVAC system replacement, and was mentioned 17,000 is really a placeholder at this point.
Why are we replacing the system? It was replaced like 2011 when we did the town buildings and the energy efficiency stuff.
The library? Would the library like to comment?
The library furnace was replaced. When we did all of the energy upgrades that we got a grant for, we replaced the library furnace and the furnace down at the municipal building.
I don't think we did. It's on the list for the CIP that we were over age, right? So we've been asking for it for the past couple of years and we finally pushed through. So we've been talking with the CIP committee about getting the furnace replaced for a couple of years now because it was overdue. I believe the air conditioning is newer. There was an energy audit back in that time and there was insulation done in the attic, but I don't think the furnace was redone.
Yeah, let me look up.
Yeah, you can look it up. It should say on the furnace in there though, too.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, that's easy to,
Yes.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we can confirm this easily enough. Okay. Tennis and basketball court repairs and resurfacing. This is to repair the tennis courts, $24,000. I think there's going to be some discussion around this at town meeting, I suspect.
$20,000 for the actual resurfacing, and then we added $4,000 for fence repair.
Yep. Article 15 is to pay for a new, for an update to the way we do our maps in town, to a modern GIS, geographic information system. This is a one-time conversion fee. It is something we really need to do because now, as you saw earlier, every couple of years, we try to figure out what has changed on the maps. It goes to a company that hand fiddles all this stuff. Our maps are not particularly accurate. If you look at, many towns have moved to a GIS system, and if you look at what they have, it is fantastic. You can go in and see actual pictures of your property with accurate property lines, and it makes assessing, keeping the tax records, everything's much easier. So I really hope we pass this. It's important.
Along with this GIS system, I think it's, after it's implemented, is $6,000 per year.
There is a maintenance charge for keeping the maps updated. Okay.
Right. So is this a software purchase or is this a honest to God, go back in all of our deeds?
Yep.
And transfer it into the GIS?
Yes, it is not a software purchase. It is a company's going to go out and look at all the deeds and all this stuff, figure out where the property lines are supposed to be, get all this into the system.
So are they also going to be looking at all the subdivisions for the last few years?
I would imagine so.
The subdivision maps that we've had,
I would imagine so.
because
yeah.
I know we had at one point started updating the tax maps with the actual subdivision maps.
They'll use whatever is probably at the registry as their primary source. Well,
These have all been updated since last week. That's CIP recommendation's been removed, if that's what you're asking.
Right.
Because these just kind of carried over from ones that were in there last year. So then I had to update them and that was probably left there. It's been removed.
Okay. We have a number of I think it was 5 of them that are all related, and I'm going to summarize them all. So we have a highway department study capital reserve fund. It's got 38,088.93 in it right now. And there is also the highway department building and construction expendable capital reserve fund, but $277,767,000.19 in it. We did this last year. Those 2 funds are going to be dissolved. They have to be listed as 2 warrant articles to dissolve. Then a new fund will be created to combine those 2 into one fund. And that money from those 2 will go into the new fund. Why are we doing this? Well, there's actually 2 variants. One is warrant article will set up a fund to immediately expend that money to redo the town garage, appropriating no additional money, I guess. It's just the money from those 2 funds. The alternative warrant article, and we're going to vote on these all together at town meeting, is to make the fund more general. Make a fund that can be used for the highway department, the municipal building, whatever town buildings need to be looked at and updated or repaired. So instead of earmarking it for a single purpose, it would be for highway garage, municipal building, okay, whatever. You'll vote on that at town meeting, and there'll be much discussion. Yes.
Because it is kind of complicated. 19 and 20, right, are really a choice.
Right. One or the
Right.
other.
Okay. So there's 3 steps or 2 steps. One is discontinuing those separate funds.
Yes.
The next question that comes along is, okay, now do you want that to apply just to the highway?
Right.
garage or to the other town buildings as well?
Correct. So
Okay.
what I figure we'll do at town meeting, we'll dissolve the 2 funds. Then we'll argue for a couple of hours over the next 2 to figure out what fund it goes in.
Bill?
On the article that the Highway Garage Study Group put forth, it was not our intention that that money should be spent immediately. The town hasn't voted on what they want to do with that site. It was really just to take the money out of one pocket and put it in another.
Well, it would be immediately available.
It would be immediately available, but that doesn't mean that anything would happen with it.
All right.
It doesn't mean it's going to need to be spent right away.
Save that for town meeting so we can all argue about all this. The 2 committees, the highway garage study committee and the highway department committee, whatever the names are being dissolved. Both committees agree with that. Yeah, they're both being dissolved and both committees agree with that. And that is it. We do not comment on petition articles. Any questions on any of this stuff? Who's got the microphone? There we go.
I had one question about the health insurance that we're paying. How
Yep.
many employees are we providing insurance for?
It's basically the highway department employees. How many people are on our?
It's 3.
3 people. Yeah.
So 3 people is costing us $85,000. Has there been any investigation into whether or not, if you took that amount of money, divided it by 3 and put it in their paychecks, could they buy their own insurance?
We have discussed it off and on. There has been apparently little interest in it.
Also, it's,
I-
it's,
I-
the-
Can I make a comment on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
This is health insurance is the only benefit that the full-time
That's right.
highway people get.
That's right.
The town does not put anything into any retirement.
Right.
or anything else. It is the only benefit they get.
That's right. Now, we have considered vague discussion, maybe we should have a cafeteria plan like some companies have, so people could put the money into health insurance or whatever. But the problem you have is that the younger people tend to say, I don't need health insurance, and then they do. So anyway, it has been discussed. There's nothing formally going on. It is expensive.
And it is truly the only thing we have for benefit for those people that are out there.
Yeah, we cut that. We're going to not have any highway department employees. So,
And if we do cut it, we'd have to put the pay up so high,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be able to function.
yep.
Question on Article 21.
21,
What's the
okay.
thought process in having both departments or both committees on one article versus like, I'm just playing devil's advocate. What if someone says, well, I really don't want to see one or the other dissolved, but now
Well-
they're on two and I have to vote?
That can be discussed at town meeting. Both committees want to be dissolved. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, somebody could bring it up at town meeting and somebody could amend the article to only dissolve one of them, but the
But
committee
that,
members.
but
don't
that's
want
not
that.
the intent. The intent
Right.
is the intent is to dissolve them both, and they both agree with that. So we can't change it to one can stay and one can't.
Well, there wouldn't be any money
That,
left
that
for
would
it.
be,
Yeah.
that would be a different intent.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah. So, one of the articles will, I believe I can find it here, blah, blah, blah. I thought it set up a new committee. Well, I'm not going to dig through it.
No, the other one at the
Yeah.
end says that, the CIP would make the decisions on it, and then we talked about that at our last meeting. And came up with maybe it should be a subcommittee of CIP instead of just the CIP.
Yeah.
So the CIP would actually invite somebody to come in, and that way once that job was done, then those people could dissolve from there without all of this going back and forth to town meeting.
Yeah, but this is all going to get discussed no end at town meeting. Okay, oh, I see our police chief is here. Sorry, we dissolved the police department. Okay, is there
Been
anything
there the
else?
whole Time, you didn't see him?
No, I'm not looking there. I'm looking
Sneaking in
here.
on us.
Looking here, and he's behind Tim. Any other questions? Okay, if not, is
Mo-
there,
Motion to adjourn.
all in favor?
Aye. Thank
Huh.
you all. Thank you, CIP. Thank you, BAC.
How do I get out of this thing now?
No, I have.
We tried that. We tried that last year and nobody,
I think I have two, actually. I just gotta figure out what bag I.
well,
put
what's to
them in.
explain? It was for the, local elections. That's a warrant article. We don't, be done by warrant article.
Emails too.
We- Too late.